Hello, and welcome to the Sean References MLW channel. I'm Sean, or Stats Sean, if you listen to Pipe It Up or are in the MLW Discord. The 2024 MLW season has been over for quite a while, so I'm overdue for this. But today I wanted to do a rundown of the best pitches from the season that was. And in order to do that, I'll be presenting a top 10. This top 10 is not subjective. For those of you who caught a throwaway fun fact I gave months ago on Pipe It Up, this is something you already know. But for everyone else, I rolled out a stat during the 2024 season that I call pitch value. This is designed to be a single number, expressed in run value, to measure quite literally the value of each offering in a pitcher's arsenal. I base this off of the strikeouts, walks, home runs, and balls in play produced by a pitch, as well as how frequently that pitch was thrown. The outcome of balls in play and the context of all outcomes are ignored. This is solely reliant on adding up the value of individual pitches, then comparing to average. There are some caveats though. Since MLW almost always only displays the final pitch of each plate appearance, that's all I factor into the calculations, even when other pitches are shown. This means that, quote, control pitches that guys throw to get ahead in the count but not to finish hitters off will be undervalued, as well as pitches that are often thrown when behind in the count and trying to avoid walks. The other important thing to note is that I'm classifying these pitches by the eye test. I'm just watching the games, seeing the grips, movement, and mechanics as best I can, and deciding pitch types on that. I also do this with the games on mute, so I cannot be influenced by what the commentator might call a pitch, keeping it to a level eye test on every delivery. With all of that having been said, onto the list. The knuckleball had its biggest ever year in MLW in 2024, accounting for 1.97% of all plate appearance ending pitches and being thrown by 6 different pitchers. Ryan Cratch led the way in both volume, with 14 thrown, and rate, 6.1% of his pitches, and his knuckleball kicks us off as the 10th most valuable pitch of 2024. Weirdly, on a per pitch basis, he had one of the weaker knuckleballs, walking a batter and allowing contact 3 times, including a single and a double. But don't be fooled, it was still excellent. Among pitches thrown at least 5 times, Cratch's was the 8th most valuable per pitch. It induced 7 whiffs in 10 swings, the 9th highest rate among pitches with 5 or more swings. Batters chased it in 5 of 6 opportunities, the 5th best rate among pitches thrown out of the zone 5 times. Looking at it, Cratch throws his knuckleball very hard, and the pitch of course has wobbling, unpredictable movement. This means it sometimes dives sharply, often ends up corkscrewing back to its starting point, and occasionally even darts like a slider. It's a highlight-worthy clip every time he throws it, and I hope for even more knuckleballs in 2025, from MLW as a whole, with Cratch at the forefront. Going back to start the list, number 9 is Ryan Cratch's curveball. Curveball is a bit of a misnomer. It doesn't look like a baseball curve, but is instead a drop where its drop is caused by induced spin, rather than the holes being parallel to the ground. On a per-pitch basis, Cratchit's curve is eerily similar to his previously discussed knuckleball. Among qualified pitches, this bender ranks 4th in value per pitch, xwOBA, and whiff rate, and 6th in chase rate. I really love this pitch. It's visually unique in MLW, as nothing else dives nearly straight down in quite the same way from that arm angle. Even when it's thrown poorly, it just pivots into more horizontal movement. With 2 top 10 pitches in the arsenal, Cratch continued his modern-day domination last season, notching his 3rd consecutive MVP, and the quality of these offerings he hardly uses, his curveball was his 5th most thrown pitch in 2024, shows just how complete of a pitcher Cratch is. Risers are one of the most classic and simplest pitches in wiffle ball, and for that reason they've mainly fallen out of favor in MLW. No pitcher's riser even ranked in the top 20 pitches in 2024. No classic riser, that is. Jordan Robles' unicorn overhand riser comes in at number 8. No other pitcher in the league threw an overhand riser on camera in 2024. Jorgensen very rarely has in other years, and I've personally seen Baranowski and Bean do it in fast pitch games, but in MLW in 2024, it was just Robles. And this one-of-one pitch clearly stunned batters. Despite this overhand riser having very little movement, though it does go up and arm side slightly, only 5 pitches produced more strikeouts than its 30, and all of those were thrown at least 10 more times. Often, batters were so surprised by this pitch they couldn't offer a swing, going down looking 19 times, the third most against any pitch, and also at the third highest rate among pitches thrown double-digit times. Add in an above-average whiff percentage, and it becomes clear why Robles got so many Ks with his riser. I don't know if this success will continue if other pitchers add something like this, but for now an overhand riser is a Robles specialty, and that uniqueness created strong results in 2024. The historic success of Jordan Robles in 2024 wasn't just because of his trick riser, as his slide drop checks in at number 7. Robles has a limited arsenal, only showing 5 pitch types on camera last year, including a one-off ephus. But since the day he joined MLW, he's had a nasty slide drop, which he now uses as his third pitch. Slide drops are generally effective, as 7 different pitchers had positive value ones last season, but they're usually hard to control. Not for Robles, though, who had just a 12.1% walk rate on it. He was the only pitcher to rate as above average in zone rate, whiff rate, and chase rate with a slide drop. The funny thing is that there's no mystery here. Robles throws his slide drop from a visibly different arm angle than his other 2 main pitches, and often changes his delivery on it as well. It hasn't mattered. Batters still flail at it, and when they do make contact, it's beaten right into the ground. His riser could prove to be gimmicky at some point. Robles' slide drop is just purely him dominating with a pitch everyone has seen and everyone knows is coming. His ace status is in no jeopardy. Same pitch, different co-Cy Young Award winner, as Dallas Allen's slide drop was the 6th most valuable pitch of 2024. Again, slide drops in general are very good at getting whiffs and missing barrels, so it's no surprise Allen would have one that does the same. What's weird about his is the journey it took last year. In the regular season, Allen hardly threw this pitch, and when he did, he got middling results, including a lot of ground ball singles. Then the playoffs came, and suddenly the slide drop was performing like his best pitch. He struck out 8 Mallards on it in NLDS Game 1 alone, another in Game 2 to end the series, got just 1 K on it in the NLCS, but then had 3 off of it in World Series Game 2 and 5 in Game 3. I think maybe this pitch is very dependent on the scuffing of the ball, and that when Allen gets a good ball, he uses his slide drop heavily, but scraps it almost completely with a lesser ball. All told, it was Allen's 2nd most thrown pitch last season, and when it mattered most, he piled up the Ks with it. I should note, though, I don't feel great about this ranking. Allen's slide drop, finger ball, and drop ball are very hard to tell apart on video. I did my best, but this is a spot where misclassification is very possible. Well, this was obviously making the top 10, but at number 5, Dallas Allen makes it 3 consecutive instances of pitchers going back-to-back with his banana ball. To get this out of the way, I know Allen calls the banana and the more vertical version of it 2 separate pitches, but I have no idea where he draws the line, and they're thrown the same way on camera, so I'm just grouping them all under the banana umbrella. Anyway, this is very clearly one of MLW's just best pitches. Just look at it. In terms of sheer movement in both directions, I don't think there's another pitch like it, but the control is what makes it lethal. The first instinct as a hitter against a pitch like this is to automatically take and assume anything that moves that much will be impossible to locate. But Allen finds the zone with the banana 68.2% of the time, as well as inducing chases 71.4% of the time that he misses, combining up to a 90.9% strike rate. Among all pitches thrown 10 or more times, that's tied for the 9th best strike rate. Nothing above it is moving even close to that much, though. So if you take, Allen finds the zone, but he can also make it cross the zone and miss. Overall, there are shocked takes and ugly swings. I'm really happy the banana ball made this top 10, because if it didn't, I would have had to seriously reevaluate my pitch valuation process. And if Allen moves it up from being his 4th pitch, I think it'll rank higher than number 5 in 2025. There are a lot of visibly insane pitches in MLW. Hayden Irwin's drop ball, which ranks here at number 4, isn't really one of them. It's still my favorite pitch in the league. After the 2022 Oklahoma series, during which Irwin threw his first shutout, I knew I loved his drop, but I couldn't put my finger on why. Now, after a 2024 breakout where he joined a new team and became a proper ace, I know why Irwin's drop captivates me. It's because his drop doesn't look like any other I've seen. Most pitchers throw their drop ball upwards so it can come back down. Irwin, due to his long, smooth arm angle, releases his drop very flat. Instead of popping up and going back down, it just tumbles sharply and heavily and fades arm side, almost like a major league sinker. This must make the drop hard to pick up for hitters, as Irwin rode it hard, throwing it nearly half the time, and racked up the fifth most Ks of any pitch with it. Oddly, batters didn't really chase the drop, doing so at a slightly below league average rate. Instead, he just bullied hitters in the zone, both getting them looking and just missing the bat. Seeing as how this is Irwin's best pitch by far, and his only positive offering besides a knuckleball, I'm not sure how long he can keep shoving while leaning on one effective pitch. But I'll enjoy every drop he throws, no matter if he's a Cy Young candidate again. Taking the bronze medal, we have a third appearance from Dallas Allen, as his drop ball lands at number 3. Again, disclaimer, Allen throws a lot of similar looking pitches. I could have counted some finger balls or slide drops as drop balls, or called some drops either of those, but again, I tried. Regardless, it's only appropriate that Allen's drop scores as his most valuable pitch, as it's the one that really pushed him into the MLW ace tier. And while he's added a lot more to augment the arsenal, the drop is still on top a few years later. This is a fun pitch, since Allen frequently throws it from an extreme underhand arm slot, making it look more like a blitzball pitch than a wiffle ball one at times. The whiff and K rates against this pitch are both strong, but not particularly spectacular. Allen's drop is up this high for one reason. He threw 28 drop balls on camera in 2024, and all 28 of them were strikes. Batters drew 0 walks off of it, as well as hitting 0 home runs. When the worst outcomes are being avoided completely, the ideal outcome, a strikeout, doesn't need to happen constantly in order to produce a ton of value. The raw results are great too, with the third best WOBA and second best xWOBA allowed among all pitches thrown at least 10 times, as well as ranking second in value per pitch. Allen has evolved since his 2022 breakout, becoming maybe the best player in MLW while moving away from using his drop. When he throws it, it's still among the best pitches in the entire league. Before going on to the second most valuable pitch, I have to show you something you haven't seen all video. On screen now, for the only time in this video, you're seeing a batter get a hit. It's playing on loop and at increasingly slower speeds. There is a reason I've chosen to show you a hit. Watch it. Soak it in. Okay, you've seen it and committed it to memory now. Noticed everything? Good. Let's move on. What you just watched was the only hit a batter got off of Sawyer Bean's super drop in 2024, the number 2 pitch of the season. I'm completely serious. One hit. Batters were 1 for 47 against the super drop, a .021 average. And the expected average was even lower, at just 19. Even more absurd, batters swung 23 times at the super drop. 21 times they hit only air. This was the 6th most whiffs against any pitch, despite only drawing the 16th most swings. No pitch thrown even 5 times induced less contact per swing. That's why the bean ball is so valuable. It's the closest thing in the league to being impossible to hit. And with the highlights playing, you can certainly see why. Come on, look at that thing. Look at the swings it produces. The only thing keeping it from being number 1 is the same thing keeping Bean from winning Cy Youngs. Just so many walks. Just under a quarter of plate appearances that end with the super drop result in walks. With no damage to speak of, the walks are the only thing holding Bean's super drop back in any way. And if I had to bet, it's the safest pick for most valuable pitch of 2025, with its unparalleled bat missing qualities. I think everyone knew this was coming. The most valuable pitch of MLW's 2024 season was Jordan Robles' finger ball. Robles in 2024 had the best pitching season of the draft era, so it's no wonder he had 3 top 10 pitches, and it's only appropriate that his main offering tops the list. The reason it comes in above all of MLW's other elite pitches is sheer volume. Only 2 pitches were thrown more frequently than Robles's fingerball, and neither of those was close to providing the rate value that this one did. On a rate basis, the fingerball was 4th among pitches thrown 10 or more times in whiff rate and 9th in chase rate. Factor in the volume, and no pitch induced more swings and misses or more swings out of the zone. It also had the 6th most strikeouts looking for good measure. Ever since the fingerball entered the league in 2022, pitchers who have one have leaned on it. Robles achieved a level of success with this method that no one had before. I can personally attest to why. I've faced Robles's fingerball and tried to hit it. It's coming right down the middle, and suddenly it's right on your hands. The arm side run is so drastic and sharp, I can't blame the players in MLW for being unable to hit it for an entire season. I couldn't hit it either. The fingerball of Jordan Robles was the #1 pitch of MLW's 2024 season.